I'm Kerry Shale.
And I'm Daniel Crespin.
And this is Bob Dylan.
Approximately.
Hollis Brown, he lived on the outside of town. Hollis Brown, he lived on the outside of town, with his wife and 5 children and his cabin falling down. You looked for work and money, and you walked a ragged mile. You looked for work and money, and you walked a rugged mile. Your children are so hungry that they don't know how to smile. I mean, it's one of the most serious Dylan songs. We were just saying, one of the most serious Dylan songs ever, isn't it?
Yeah, this is 100 out of 100 on the Dylan Seriousometer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's so released in 1964 on his most, I would say, quote unquote protest album, most socially charged album, The Times They Are Changing.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong, but it feels like an old cautionary tale. Obviously, there was huge swathes of poverty in the USA at the time and still is, but it feels like it's from a different era to when he was writing it. I almost see Grapes of Wrath in my head, you know. Like,
yeah, no, absolutely, because this was written when Kennedy was president.
Yeah.
It was still the Camelot era. Now, there was horrible poverty all over certain parts of America, huge swathes of America, but it's looked back as the era of, oh, those were the days, make America great again.
Yeah.
But Dylan cut right through that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's essentially a song about the murder-suicide of him and his entire family due to the desperation of poverty. It's a really harrowing song, and it was recorded for the Freewheelin' session. So this shows for me the incredible output of Dylan at that time, because Freewheelin' already is one of the greatest albums of all time in my opinion, but the outtakes from that album, so just a few of them, here we go. So Ballad of Hollis Brown, it was not an outtake with it here, but Death of Emmett Till, Let Me Die in My Footsteps, Mixed Up Confusion, Quit Your Lowdown Ways, Talkin' Bear Mountain Picnic Massacre Blues, Talkin' John Birch Paranoid Blues, Walls of Red Wing. I mean, all these songs, the album would, he just couldn't put them all on the album. But he played it live way before its release, but just kind of strums the chords and puts in loads of harmonica rather than this brilliant picking pattern that is, for me, it's sort of it reminds me of All Along the Watchtower. Like, the reason I think Dylan's All Along the Watchtower is the best is because you get that never-ending cycle. It's like the rolling chord progression never stops.
Talking about the picking pattern, I think, let's assume that most people know the song, although we'll go back and we'll pick through it, so to speak. But there's one guitar break at the end, a little guitar break, which gives Hollis Brown time to massacre his family and kill himself. And it's actually, in my research, apparently it's the first guitar break that Dylan ever did on any of his, because this is only his second album. Yeah. But that little, it's nothing.
Yeah.
But it's, somehow it holds your attention. You couldn't even call it a guitar solo. It's like a little guitar break. Yeah. But the reason that, like, for instance, I listened to tons of covers of this as well, and we can go through those. But the version he does with the band has Robbie Robertson doing guitar breaks between every verse, which I think, although I think it's a very good version, and I applaud Dylan for, playing it loud with a rock band, it loses some of the tension. Like All Along the Watchtower, nothing tops Dylan's version.
Yeah, and I think it's just a song of sheer hopelessness to me. It's sort of almost decrying the American dream that I think everyone now realizes is a falsity, and probably has always been a falsity. But at that time, maybe not. He's kind of going, as you say, it's that time of like, wasn't it the good old days? Americans like, nope.
No, absolutely. Nope. I mean, talking about the good old days, so there's no question that this was taken, this sort of grinding, drone-like tune was taken from Pretty Polly.
Pretty Polly, yeah.
Right, which is this old murder ballad. So talking about murder ballads, did a little digging here. So they basically came to the States from Britain and Ireland in the 18th and 19th centuries. And they all had this cold, fatalistic, haunting, trance-like tune. And they tended to be about murders.
Yeah.
And in Pretty Polly, which Dylan used to cover, in fact, there's a version of him singing it at the Gaslight.
61, I think.
In 61.
Yeah, really early when he just got to New York.
Exactly. Yeah. And so it's basically about this guy killing his innocent sweetheart. Mm-hmm. They go out for a walk.
Yeah. And he's digged her grave.
He's already dug her grave.
Yeah.
And he says, I just don't like the fact that you had any lovers before me. That really, it's kind of driving me crazy, so I'm going to kill you now.
Yeah.
And she says, please don't kill me.
Please don't kill me.
And he kills her.
Yeah.
And then in various versions, because there's tons of versions of Pretty Polly, but he generally turns himself in to be hung.
Yeah.
And says, I killed Pretty Polly because he was preying on my mind. So it's the same sort of, where is God, This is so awful.
Yeah.
And Dylan takes that and amplifies it by this guy killing his children and his wife.
What he not only manages to do, and I think Dylan is often overlooked for how interesting he uses narrative it's second person narrator, this, which is so genius to do, because it essentially makes, I feel, he doesn't go Hollis Brown, he lived on the outside, he doesn't go, he looked for work and money. He goes, you looked for work and money.
Yeah, he changes the narration. Like the first one, it could even be, it's like the voice of God. It's like a general narrator just saying Hollis Brown, he lived on the outside of town. But then, boom, you're in Hollis Brown's
You're
head.
in the story.
You are Hollis Brown.
Yeah. You're Hollis Brown, or you're a bystander and you can do nothing about it, or you're choosing to do nothing. I almost feel guilty listening to this song. It's like I always say, this is a slightly off kilter, but I always say if you're a good Iago in Othello, the audience by the end of it should feel culpable in his crimes, because he's told you everything.
Yes, that's
true. You've not been able to do anything, but he's kind of used you as his sounding board. And I feel like that in this song. It's like you feel desperate. You can't do anything. It's like, what's coming.
I listened to this. I haven't listened to the song for years, actually. It's not a song that I have returned to very often. Not because it's a bad song, but because it's such a great song. Because it's very upsetting. And but I did listen to it when we decided to cover it for the show. And the first time I listened to it in some years, I put on my headphones and was walking down Upper Street to the bus stop to go into the West End, and it gave me goosebumps, as they say in this country, and it pretty much stopped me in my tracks. Like, I didn't want to be walking anymore. I felt that I had to pay attention to the song. And I did. I just stood there in the middle of the street and let it unfold, because it was so good and so harrowing.
You're right. It's not a song I kind of turn on, I'll just listen to Hollis Brown.
Yeah.
While
I'm cooking
while I'm
some
making
eggs.
some eggs. Yeah, exactly. It's not that song.
Hard-boiled eggs.
Yeah, hard-boiled eggs. But yeah, I love it also. We've got into some actor stuff now, but there's the Chekhov gun theory in this song. So your eyes fix on the shotgun that's hanging on the wall. How long has he been thinking about that? The gun's there on the wall. So for anyone who doesn't know, it's a bit of an esoteric thing. Chekhov's gun theory is essentially, if there's a gun on the wall in a play, eventually someone's going to die from that gun.
And it's true.
It's true.
It's not just a theory. Yeah. And yes, because the next time he looks down and the gun is in his hand.
It's terrifying. It's like he's on autopilot. Once he's made the decision, he's on autopilot.
Yes.
You don't get the thought process. He sees the gun on the wall. Next thing, it's in his hand. It's like, how did that happen?
Yeah, well, we also know that this line, you spent your last lone dollar on 7 shotgun shells. Yeah. He could only afford 7. So he's got to have one for each kid, one for his wife, and one for him.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing as well. You spent your last lone dollar. It's like you literally have nothing. I think there's especially in the artistic community, in my age especially, there's kind of a sort of a glamorizing of, I'm broke, man, I'm broke. It's like,
yeah.
But there's a difference between, being broke and having nothing.
Nothing. And the last money that could possibly, in a way, like, save you, because I think his life is so horrible, so tortuous, and he believes in God. He prays to God, but he kind of knows he's going to go to hell.
Yeah.
But he'd rather be in hell. It couldn't be any worse.
And here. Well, that's the thing. It's like his existence and his family's is so awful that he thinks death is the only way to save them. That's the only way to ease our pain, because it's the hopelessness. It's never going to get better.
Yeah.
He doesn't see a way out.
Yeah. And he's so... Another verse that really strikes me is he's so lonely. You know, he prays to the Lord above to send him a friend, but your empty pockets tell you that you ain't got no friends. And, you know, he doesn't pray for food, for water. He prays for a friend.
Yeah.
But that's not going to work. That particular strategy isn't going to work.
I see. I've said this a few times in this podcast. Because he's such a good writer, I see Dylan songs like I do with novel. You know, when you read a novel, you see the setting in your head, and I see this so clearly. It's almost like we talked about Grapes of Wrath on one episode. It's almost like the narrative style chapters in Grapes of Wrath, where Steinbeck is just doing prose, but kind of interspersing context and stuff. You know, 7 breezes blowing all around your cabin door. I can see it so vividly in my head.
Yeah.
The setting, and it'll be different for everyone.
By the way, not to upset our Apple Card here, but we keep forgetting to say that if you subscribe on Patreon, you can suggest a song, and we will do it.
We will do it. Yeah, please do.
So, but to go back into it, one of my favorite 2 lines are, "Your baby's eyes look crazy. They're tugging at your sleeve." I just love that, because both the baby's eyes and the babies themselves are tugging.
Yeah.
And I just think this is such a brilliant line, and so awful. It's like a horror movie.
It really is like, and there's the other line, "Your children are so hungry that they don't know how to smile." It's like you see videos of
kids in the Depression, in the Appalachians.
And famine now, and certain things going on in the world right now that I won't get into. But you see, it's horrible seeing children unable to be children, because it's what the North Koreans do. They starve their population because you can't have the fight. You can't have the will when you're starving to fight against a government when you're starving. And it's like these children can't be children because they're starving. And it's... Man, it's a lot.
I was, when I was listening to it on earphones, as I said, walking down and Upper Street and stopping, one of the things that stopped me was the guitar. We've been talking about the guitar, but the line came up, "Your wife's screams are stabbing you," and the guitar is stabbing you.
Yeah,
you keep feeling like it's like Psycho, but that.
Yeah,
and there's a kind of thing that he does. I don't know how he does it. Maybe you as a guitarist do, where there's a little kind of extra dissonance to the guitar. I can't describe it, but it's like a little stab.
Yeah, I'd have to have you to point it out.
There's something about the way it's tuned.
Yeah. Well, tuning, this is an interesting one for a bit of music nerdery, but it's double drop D tuning, which isn't very common. Now, rockers love drop D tuning, which is where the top E string is dropped to D or D flat. Drop to D or E flat, sorry. And it gives a real bulky sound, so a lot of rock musicians use it. It gives a fat sound. But you rarely see the bottom string also tuned down to D. I've never used that tuning. I've used drop D on one or the other string. So if a musician out there can reach out and tell me what exact effect that has, I'd love to know. But it's a really odd tuning, and it's an Appalachian kind of picking style. So it's this is a real American folk. So whereas Pretty Polly is, as you say, comes from European folk and those kind of tales, but the music is very much American folk.
Do you find what do you make of the last verse? The thing about 7 new people born. Do you? Because when I first heard it, this is the difference maybe between me and you. I thought, oh, well, there's hope.
Oh, Kerry, you naive fool, you. Don't you know what life is like?
And then as I listened to this repeatedly, I thought, oh no, they're all going to have to go through this shit again.
Well, it's so genius because, as I said, that chord progression that just rolls and rolls and rolls. It feels like it's never going to end. So the music is doing that to you, but then the last verse is also doing that. It's like the story starts again.
Yeah.
He does the same in a even more genius way in All Along the Watchtower, where the first two lines are probably the last two lines as well.
Yeah.
So it's like the story never ends. You're stuck in hell. It's very Bob.
Yeah. I was also struck by the just even the number 7, because we've talked a lot about how Dylan is. I think he's kind of obsessed with numbers, as well as a number of other things like doors and windows. And there's something in the next song that I'm going to bring up as well. But 7 is actually a lucky number. To a lot
Lucky
of
number
people.
7, yeah.
But I think he makes it an unlucky number.
Yeah.
And it's also, there's 7 deadly sins. There's 7 years of bad luck when you break a mirror. So
7 curses. Is
7 curses, another one of his
famous
songs.
folk song.
Yeah. So I think it's really interesting. Did you know that he sang it live at Live Aid?
Yes,
with Keith and Ronnie.
Ronnie and Keith.
But it was interesting. Today I picked up that book that we talked about in one of our bonus episodes, the excerpts from the Telegraph, John Bowlby. It's called Wanted Man.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of really esoteric interviews. And they interview Ronnie Wood. And I was just reading it this morning, actually. And Ronnie Wood, he seems like the nicest guy. And apparently him and Bob Dylan are really good buddies.
Oh, that's
genuinely
lovely.
good buddies.
Yeah.
And he tells many stories. He seems a very open guy.
Yeah.
And one of the stories he tells in this, kind of short interview was, first of all, he says, Bob Dylan came up to me at a party. He hadn't met him and said, "I love your solo album, man." And that's how he met Bob Dylan, with Bob Dylan seeking him out.
Yeah.
How good is that?
That's great.
And then, him and Bob Dylan, hung around. He said Sarah stayed at his place for a while after the divorce because she had no place to stay, stayed there with the kids. But the thing that really struck me is that they were recording at Shangri-La, the studios where the band recorded. And he said Bob was sleeping in a tent out back. He was just
Bob
sleeping.
was going method.
Bob was just, his house was still not, finished. And rather, Bob said, "I'm going to be sleeping out back in a tent." And Ronnie said, "Oh, well, good luck, Bob." And then Ronnie was sleeping in the main area. Like they had bedrooms there. The band used to kind of live there when they were recording there. And he said he came back and he found that all of his bedclothes were gone. Bob had stolen them.
That's fabulous.
He just does. That's what he does.
What do you say to Bob Dylan?
What do you say? But
he stole my bedclothes,
he just I need those, man. He seems to have no concept of ownership.
Well, it's like we've said before. Geniuses are probably all a pain in the arse to live with.
Well, Joan Baez, do you know that the song Joan Baez wrote about Bob Dylan?
Diamonds and Rust.
Diamonds and Rust.
Yeah,
it's just genius.
song.
What was a pain to live with at home? It was just like, I think she, they lived together for a while.
Yeah.
And it must have been impossible.
Absolutely impossible. Yeah, and there's that scene in the film A Complete Unknown where he's writing "It's All Right, Ma."
Yeah.
In the middle of the night, she wakes up. What the fuck are you doing with my guitar?
Yes, and he tries to walk out with her guitar.
Yeah.
He says, "Give me that. That's mine."
Yeah.
Oh,
See you on
you want to
tour,
be
Jim.
like that?
Yeah.
See you on tour. That's right.
I also think he essentially this is an album of, in many ways, hope. It's called The Times They Are A-Changing. Please get out of the new one if you can't lend a hand for the times they are a-changing. When the ships comes in, everything will change and it'll be. It's not as naive as that, obviously, but it's generally hopeful. This song is nothing like that. It's saying nothing ever changes in a way. 7 new people are born. The story starts again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Can we just talk as we wind up, a bit about the covers? We don't usually go into covers.
Yeah, let's do
but
it.
I think it's really interesting that this song, for instance, as opposed to, say, Talkin' World War III Blues, which we're going to do in the second half, has been covered a lot. It's interesting because it's so, hopeless and bleak, but it's very attractive to other musicians. And Nina Simone's version is great.
Right. She's covered Bob a lot, hasn't she?
Covered
I didn't
Bob
realise
more
this.
than more than any other sort of mainstream,
Yeah.
popular. Like if you say Nina Simone to most people who like music, they'll go, "Oh yeah, Nina Simone."
Yeah.
And yeah, she's covered tons, and she deconstructs Bob. But she hasn't deconstructed this one. She just the guitar is very, it's kind of beautiful. It's very full. It sounds like a Richie Havens. I have no idea who's playing it, but it's a very full-bodied tone. But basically just her piano and the guitar. So she adds a piano. But it's and it's very, the way Nina Simone sings. It's just as scary.
Yeah,
it's a really, really good cover.
Yeah.
And then there's Leon Russell's cover. I don't know if you listened to it because I sent it to you.
I haven't listened to it.
Oh, it's great, actually.
Maybe I have.
It's got a kind of a demented gospel choir from hell singing in the background. And it works very well. I know that, of course, Dylan worked with Leon Russell and really thought Leon Russell was a fabulous musician. And so I find Leon Russell's voice a little difficult, so I don't listen to a lot of him. But I'd recommend that.
Yeah.
And then I started looking up versions of Pretty Polly. The Byrds do a version as a backup track, a bonus track rather, on Sweetheart of the Rodeo, the reissue, which I don't think that much of. I'm not a big Byrds fan. I'm not. No, it's sanitized versions of Dylan, isn't it? I just don't get it. I know that they were very important, and that their versions of Dylan. I also kind just don't like Dylan. Roger McGuinn's voice. No, I don't either. But a much better cover is the Big Smith version of Pretty Polly. And they're a very obscure. A friend of mine turned me on to them. They are from the Ozarks. They wear bib overalls, and I found out that Big Smith is a brand of overall. Oh, okay. That's what they named themselves after. I listened to the album with that one. Fantastic. It's great. Fantastic. And, they did 3 or 4 albums, and a friend of mine went to the film screening of that film. They did a really low-budget documentary on Big Smith. And it's just about them living with their families and playing at local dances and going into the recording studio every once in a while. And now, I think one of them is now a session musician somewhere, and the rest of them have settled down with their families. The guitar's great. The singer is fantastic. Fabulous. Yeah. Big Smith, everybody. Honestly, there's a few of their albums on Spotify and Apple. Yeah. There was just a great bit of music journalism / music criticism from David Horowitz that I wanted to read because I thought it was brilliant. He put, technically speaking, Hollis Brown is a tour de force. For a ballad is normally a form which puts one at a distance from its tale. This ballad, however, is told in the second person present tense, so that not only is a bond forged immediately between the listener and the figure of the tale, but there is the ironic fact that the only ones who know of Hollis Brown's plight, the only ones who care, are the hearers who are helpless to help, cut off from him, even as we in a mass society are cut off from each other. Indeed, the blues perspective itself, uncompromising, isolated and sardonic, is superbly suited to express the squalid reality of contemporary America, and what powerful expression it can be once it has been liberated, as it has in Dylan's hands, from its egocentric bondage. A striking example of the tough, ironic insight one associates with the blues, and also of the power of understatement which Dylan has learnt from Guthrie, is to be found in the final lines of Hollis Brown. There's 7 people, somewhere in the distance there's 7 new people born. I thought it was brilliant. I loved reading that. Yeah, it's a lot of people said around the time that he hooked up with Jacques Levy for songs like Isis and that sort of thing. That Jacques Levy, what he brought was this storytelling. I thought, no. I mean, Jacques Levy brought something. We don't really know what it was, but Dylan has always been able to tell a story. Absolutely, yeah. I'd like to know about the cover of your forthcoming album. Highway 61 Revisited? Okay. That T-shirt that you're wearing with the Triumph motorcycle on it? What do you want to know about it? Well, it means something, right? It's got a philosophy in it. I haven't really looked at it that much. I've thought about it a great deal. I don't really remember too much about it. What about motorcycles as an image in your songwriting? You seem to like that. Oh, well, we all like motorcycles to some degree. Do you subscribe to any particular theory? I don't subscribe to anything. Except maybe the Bob Dylan Approximately podcast. What's a podcast? I don't think we have enough time to really go into that. Just press subscribe. Oh, and maybe rate and review, too. Press
What? Wait, what? What does that mean?
You're a cow. Give me some milk or else go home.
Well, now time has passed, and now it seems everybody's having them dreams. Everybody sees themselves walking around with no one else. Half of the people can be part right all of the time. Some of the people can be all right part of the time. But all of the people can't be all right all of the time. I think Abraham Lincoln said that. I'll let you be in my dream if I can be in yours. I said that.
Oh, it's fantastic, isn't it?
I just love that.
I love Bob's humour. I mean, we talk about his humour a lot, like this weird humour, but he is a funny man, clearly. You can see it in his writing.
And he's so persuasive. Like, for instance, I didn't quite realize that Abraham Lincoln, clearly he makes this sort of thing up, but Abraham Lincoln never said anything like that.
No.
Nothing like that.
Yeah.
And in fact, I've been listening to live versions of Talkin World War III Blues, which we're talking about. And, he changes the person who said that. So one time he says Carl Sandburg said that, who was a preeminent American poet of the time. Another time he says Robert Frost said that. And it always gets a big laugh.
Yeah.
And in fact, this song is a kind of a laugh riot when you hear it live, when you see it live.
I realised I hadn't realised this before, but it's set up like a classic "I went to the doctor" joke. It literally, I went to the doctor, that thing where the doctor said, "Oh, you got this." It's that in a song form.
I mean, just to get back to the beginning again, we'll assume that there maybe are some neophytes out there who thank you for tuning in if you don't know this song. But it begins, "Some time ago a crazy dream came to me. I dreamt I was walking into World War III. I went to a doctor the very next day to see what kind of words he could say. He said it was a bad dream."
It was a bad dream.
Which it's pretty funny. Yeah. World War III was a bad dream. Thank you for telling me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't worry about it none, though. I'm just reading what is on the website, and he's changed it again.
It's in here as well, which is the book.
He's changed it again.
So many changes.
I think the biggest change on the website is he said when he goes to the fallout shelter and he says, "I leaned my head in, I gave a yell, give me a string bean, I'm a hungry man. A shotgun fired and away I ran. I don't blame them too much though. I know I look funny."
Yes,
that's what it says on the website.
I know I look funny. Yeah.
Why?
I know.
That's such a bad change because I don't blame them too much, though. They didn't know me.
They didn't know me.
That's really satirical. Somebody kill the guy because you don't know him and he's trying to break into your fallout shelter.
Yeah.
So that's again, but he.
It's also, can we point out, because we talk about his lyric changes on the website a lot, but how weird that actually is that you can. I know it's his work, but it's been recorded. We can all hear the song, but he's going, "No, these are the lyrics. These are what I meant."
Or either that, or I'm just gonna fuck him up.
Yeah. Just for the hell of it.
Just for the hell of it. I mean, there's a lot of this. Seems like a really simple song, but it's not. It goes in and out of the dream. It goes in and out of time. For instance, well, even the very beginning, which he hasn't changed on the website, "Some time ago." Like, it's not a long time ago. It's not once upon a time. It's some time ago, which is a weird. Like, he's playing with time.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I've got a whole thing about time and this thing, but just going in before we get into that, the lines, "I was down in the sewer with some little lover."
I know. Why was he down the sewer?
I think it's sort of like having sex. I think it's sort of, I don't know. It sounds filthy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's a lot of filthy sex in Bob's songs. There's a lot of songs that make sex kind of filthy and fun. Like Woody Allen said, is sex dirty? It is if you're doing it right. But I was down in the sewer with some little lover when I peeked out from a manhole cover. So he's down literally in the sewer.
Yeah.
Wondering who turned the lights on. So there's been a nuclear holocaust while he was having sex, which I think it's a very subtle way of describing a nuclear holocaust. Who turned the lights on? Or it also could be an orgasm, like boom.
Could be.
But I think it's a brilliant bit of poetry, really. wondering who turned the lights on. Then he leaves his lover and he goes out and he explores the world.
And I love when he does go out to explore the world. Lit a cigarette on a parking meter. Is the parking meter on fire, or is he leaning against the parking?
Well, you can actually. I think in Cool Hand Luke, there was a scene where. This is some years later, but I don't know if you know the movie, but where he lights a cigarette on a parking meter. It's just so
match,
cool. Like a match.
Oh,
and
cool,
I actually think he's doing it because of the Bob Dylan song.
Wow. Yeah.
But he walks on down the road. It was a normal day.
It was a normal day. Even
Right,
though there's a nuclear fallout.
Yeah, there's a nuclear, the world has been scorched. Or in his world, it's kind of like a neutron bomb. It's like everything is the same, but all the people have disappeared.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that the narrator in it is so good-natured. He's not Bob Dylan. He's just like, da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got the whole world to myself here.
Yeah.
Oh, this is quite
I wouldn't
good.
worry about anything.
Yeah, I'm not worried about anything. He's a dead man walking.
Yeah.
Because, he's going to die soon because of nuclear radiation. And he's walking through streets that are dead, which I think it comes up again in a Bob Dylan song.
I also love it. Like I often say, my two artistic role models, heroes are Bob Dylan and Shakespeare, and I do love looking at little comparisons of them sometimes. And you wouldn't think Talkin World War III Blues was one where I can, but the way he uses pauses. So down at the corner by a hot dog stand, I seen a man. Or it says I seen a man here. I think it's I saw a man in the actual recording.
I think it's I seen a man.
Oh, maybe it is. Yeah. But he's seen a man. This big pause.
Yeah.
Shakespeare does that an awful lot, especially in Macbeth, as it gets towards the end, and it's a great clue as an actor of it's like, if you've got an iambic verse and there's 3 beats, and then you've got 7 beats to play with,
right.
Nothing. It's like, it leaves this big edge. He's doing the same thing, so I love that.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and it does. You listen to the song. I saw a man, and there's a listener you're going.
Yeah.
What and what and what happened?
Yeah. I'd like to go into. This is something I've discovered recently. Dylan and time. Like all through his songwriting career, he's deconstructing time. He's obsessed with time. But this song in particular, so we start with Some Time Ago. A Crazy Dream Came to Me. The whole thing started at 3:00 fast. It was all over by a quarter past. That's more about time. And then he calls up the operator of time. The operator of time.
I love this. Like the talking clock.
The talking clock. Did they have talking clocks? You know about talking clocks?
I know about talking clocks.
And she said that for over an hour.
And I
so
hung
time
up.
and I hung up. So
joke.
time has not moved forward.
Yeah.
Because weirdly, it would move forward because the talking clock would be automated, but in this world, and she said that for over an hour and I hung up. In the live version, one of the ones I've been listening to, she says that for a couple of days.
Right.
So again, time is completely elastic. And then at the end, time has passed. And now it seems. And then, the last sort of most famous bit of it, half of the people can be part right all of the time.
Yeah.
So it's about time. This whole thing is obsessed with time. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to make the point that I do find it like it's whimsical and stuff, but actually what's happening is anything but whimsical. He said I was looking for someone to talk to, so I rang up the talking clock. I mean, it's a really I'm so lonely that I'm ringing up a talking clock just to hear another human voice.
That's interesting about going back to Hollis Brown and his desperate loneliness. Yeah. That's another theme. One of the things I love, I found I don't know if you've seen the outtake from Don't Look Back. You can see it on YouTube. It was put out as an extra, and it's the entire song,
right,
from that tour, and it's brilliant. I mean, his timing is just immaculate.
It's the bit where he says about Donovan, doesn't he?
Yes, and he says, what the...
I can't remember exactly which bit he says it.
He doesn't say Donovan said that.
He says, turn on the radio, it's Donovan.
That's
playing,
right. It was Donovan.
Yeah.
And then, and gets a huge laugh. And then he's got a kind of that's right. Everybody laughs and he says, whoever Donovan is.
Whoever Donovan is.
So he gets a double laugh on Donovan. But you can see him improvising, which I'm sure he loved doing. You can see he throws his eyes up, sort of looks up, and you can see him improvising. Half the people can be all right part of the time. All of the people can be part right some of the time. And then he adds another line. Some of the people can be half right all of the time. Yeah. But all of the people can't be all right all of the time.
Yeah.
It's comic genius. It's perfect because you can see he's right on the edge. He's just, he's just making it up as he goes.
Well, also, I think it's interesting to point out that he didn't want this. He originally didn't want this to be the Talkin' Blues on this album. He wanted Talkin' John Birch Paranoid Blues, but Columbia, for libel reasons, said we ain't having that on the album. And let's just talk about the guts of Dylan. For a second, it's one of when I found out, because it was quite early in my Bob Dylan fandom that I found out that he walked out of the Ed Sullivan Show with no, he didn't make a big deal out of it. He just said, I'm not, he wasn't known at that time. It could have absolutely shifted his career immediately, like it did for the Beatles and so many other people. But he goes, no, I'm not going to be censored. I mean, that shows real integrity. And that's why he's such a brilliant artist and really admirable. I think that's the thing. I don't know Bob as a person, and I don't particularly want to meet Bob. But it's his music and him as an artist that I find so admirable and I love so much.
Yeah, and when you, like you say, he just said, well, if they're not going to let me sing that song, criticizing, it wasn't so much that it was like a left-wing song, it was just the John Birch Society were so weird, and he thought that was so funny that they saw communists everywhere, even in the toilet bowl.
In my TV set, toilet bowl.
That might have been one of the reasons, like American society in 1962 or whatever it was probably couldn't deal with the word toilet. Just as simple as that. It might not even have been the John Birch Society. But he just said, nah, I'm out of here.
It's interesting. I'm trying to think of any exceptions, but pretty much every Talking Blues that he's done talks about communists. Because he thought I was a communist.
Right.
So Talking John Birch is all about paranoia. Motorcycle Nightmare, he goes, Fidel Castro.
Right.
I like Fidel Castro on his beard. Chase me out because I was a communist. It's like, so I need to get my dates right because the McCarthy era was like the 50s, wasn't it? So it's over by this time, but the effects of it are still being felt.
Absolutely. And the Cold War was at its complete height, of course. It was even worse than in the 50s. It was really at breaking point. And this was around the time that he was writing this. And one of my favorite lines, and going back to the song, is I drove down 42nd Street in my Cadillac, because he saw this Cadillac. And then he says, good car to drive after a war. It sounds to me like an advertising slogan.
Yeah.
Good car to drive after a war. He just sort of, and I think it's brilliant that he,
because if you were just looking at it on paper, you'd say, why has he put that Cadillac verse in? It makes no sense, but it does in the context of the song.
So he criticizes capitalism and communism. Equally. That's I was reading somewhere the other day where somebody said, it was Dave Van Ronk, I think he said it in the No Direction Home documentary. He said Dylan was really naive about politics. He didn't really kind of have any politics. He just, but he saw life and he thought, this is bad. So I'll speak about something that I think is bad. It wasn't, that he was particularly left-wing. He just saw things very clearly.
Bob's a really interesting one with politics, isn't he? Because he gets ascribed this voice of a generation and social political songwriter, and then since going no, thank you very much, has not really commented on politics much at all.
No,
deliberately.
Do you remember?
Clearly.
In Highlands, where somebody says they asked me if I'd registered to vote, and he drops his vocal tone, which is pretty low anyway. They asked me if I was registered to vote. It's just like there's no way I'm going to join that game.
No,
that's. Yeah. I think, and the other interesting thing in this song, the other main theme, is just dreams. And I mean, we're going to get actually to this. I think we might end up doing a bonus episode. I
think we're going to do a couple of bonus episodes on Dylan and Dreams.
But this is just like one of Dylan's dream songs. I like the way he goes to see a doctor who isn't apparently a shrink. He's just a doctor. But the doctor sort of turns into a shrink.
Yeah.
And sort of,
hold on, the boy's insane.
Throws him onto a couch.
Yeah.
And says to the nurse, bring your pad. and says the boy's insane. Tell me about it.
Yeah,
and which is just a real piss take of psychiatry, which is weird to me because Dylan obviously loves to explore dreams, but I think that's the difference. He likes to explore them.
He doesn't want to overanalyze.
He doesn't want to. He doesn't want. There are no answers.
No. Well, Dylan doesn't like answers.
No.
And I think a lot of great artists, art isn't about answers, really. Art's about questions, I think, and overall. It's about raising a question. That if art has a purpose in a society, which I believe it does, that's what it should do, is question things, personally.
Yeah.
I just want to talk a little bit about the talking blues style, because it's a very, it's a 1920s, it's Guthrie, essentially, kind of invented it in many ways, and it's a very rigid style, and I feel like that ding 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 harmonica thing after the joke, and then ding ding ding. Guthrie did many of them, but I feel like all these are leading up to, you've got Talkin' World War III, there's Talkin' John Birch, Talkin' Bear Mountain, Motorcycle Nightmare. They're all leading up to Dylan finally going and putting a real original new spin on it with 115th Dream, which is like which is it's a talking blues.
It's an
electrified
talking,
and it's totally different, but it's just as funny, just as this. But I think it shows him building up.
And he also really extends them in time, doesn't he? Because Woody Guthrie's stuff tended to be quite short.
2.5 minutes.
Yeah, whereas, I don't know, 115th Dream is like 6 minutes or something, and it packs a punch, tons of stuff in
He
there.
always knows how to end them, doesn't he? Like this, I'll let you be in my dream if I'll do it. But in 115th Dream, it's like, courtesy Columbus, I just said good luck.
Yeah.
I mean, what a great ending. It's brilliant humour. I love it.
I think going on about, Dylan is very good on loneliness. I mean, it must be very lonely being Dylan. And I think this is sort of a theme of this particular show. Down at the corner by the hot dog stand, I seen a man. I said, "Howdy, friend. I guess it's just us two." He seems really excited. He screamed a bit, and away he flew. Thought I was a communist.
There we are.
But I think it's the loneliness of sometimes being a human being in the world. You feel, when you're really down, you do feel like you're the only person in the world.
Yeah.
And God, I remember years ago, I went to New York and did a one-man show. And, I was doing it there. It was off Broadway. I was thrilled. And it was a great, great time until after it had been running for some weeks, I had a publicist, and he said, "I'm going to get you the New York Times. I'm going to get you the New York Times." And it was a really big deal to get the New York Times. When Dylan got the New York Times, it kind of broke him open.
Yeah.
And I've been doing quite good business, and I was only running for I think 4 weeks. And at the end of the third week, the New York Times came after the first week, but they didn't publish anything. And then they came and they published it at the end of the third week. And it was the worst review I'd ever had in my life.
Oh, no.
And I toured this show all over the world.
It lives or dies in New York, doesn't
in
it?
New
By
York,
the New York
absolutely.
Times, yeah.
And, it had got great reviews everywhere. Audiences loved it everywhere. As soon as the New York Times review was published, people started not showing up. They wouldn't even show up. They just wouldn't come.
I find...
the end of this is that the day the New York Times review came out, I scoured it. It was a really long review, and it was sort of how dare this English guy come over here? There was nothing in the thing that said, because it was set in New York. And so it was they said, how this English guy has got a lot of balls coming. He doesn't even do the accent well. Well, I can clearly do the accent.
Yeah.
Right. So basically,
and two, I'm not English.
And two, I'm not English. But as I was walking through the canyons of New York, those Dylan-esque canyons, I did feel, I swear to God, it was one of the loneliest experiences I've ever had.
Not bad.
Anyway, sorry, go.
I can't imagine with the New York Times thing, you've worked so hard on this thing, and every show knows by the time the reviews come out after opening night whether the show lives or dies. That must be heartbreaking.
Yeah, in New York.
Yeah, in New York. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I certainly learned that the hard way. It was so weird because people read in the New York Times review, and not I quoted a lot of other reviews from all the major English papers and then papers in Australia. But no, if the New York Times says it's shit, it must be shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was talking of Dylan and loneliness, and you say it must be lonely being Bob. You know, the way he lives and he tours and all that stuff. I was watching I saw a clip from Phantom Thread, the film with Daniel Day-Lewis last night, and I saw that film once when it came out and thought it was good, but haven't watched it since. And I was watching this clip, and she asks him why he's not married and stuff. He just goes, "I make dresses," and he was like saying, "There's no room in my life because this is what I've dedicated my life to." I was just watching him, and a lot of people say, "Oh, Daniel Day-Lewis can't act unless he's playing big characters." Well, watch that film because
it's brilliant.
I remember being 8 and seeing my parents watching Gangs of New York, not knowing anything about them, and just thinking, "Who is that?" I think Daniel Day-Lewis is.
He's the Bob Dylan of acting.
Absolutely, and I hate actors who go, "Oh no, fuck off." You try doing it then. But anyway. Yeah, just that thing of it summed up Dylan to me. I think he's dedicated his life. He's like, I've been given this gift, and this is my purpose here. And whatever sacrifice I have to make, it might be a lonely existence, it might be a hard existence. This is what I do. This is how I live.
That was Bob Dylan Approximately with Carrie Shale
and Daniel Crespi. Produced by Robin Guise.
And recorded at Lipsync Post, Soho, London.
For longer bonus episodes, join our Patreon feed.
And if you have a Bobsessive friend, please spread the word.
It ain't quite the end.
We'll just bid farewell till we meet again.
So do you know one of the few Beyonce and Bob Dylan crossovers?
There are one or two?
There is one, apparently.
Okay.
So Beyonce quoted on Instagram during the preparation and recording of her 2013 self-titled album, "I'll let you be in my dream if I can be in yours." And so I just kind of think like Beyonce, Alicia Keys and Bob would have one hell of a party.
Let's not go there.